got big dreams, I'ma do big things. Yeah, you see me on the big screen looking so clean. I don't move slow, I move fast right past.
Yo, what is going on, guys? Samux Plays here, and I finally finished grinding for my Hailey, and I ended up waiting that research time, and we finally did unlock her. Today I'm going to be going over the build as well as what you should be doing once you get her, and I'll also go over her external components. She does have one big downside that I'll talk about later. However, this character is one of the most broken characters in the entire game. She absolutely pumps, and she is just extremely good. So if you are having a time with like hard content at all, you will want to get Hailey because she just absolutely shreds the first 5 hard bosses, and she does extremely good damage even on the later game bosses. So she's definitely a character that you'll want to pick up for sure. The first thing I want to go ahead and go over is going to be the piercing light build. So for mine, I just went with firearm attack, weak point damage, firearm critical hit damage, and then bonus attack versus Colossus, since I am primarily going to be using her for bossing. She can be okay in dungeons. Her like 2 ability does nuke, and you can also use her 3 ability to like throw on like a thunder cage or something and just like kind of beef it up to get some AoE wave clear or whatnot. But she's not the best farmer by any means. I'd say she is definitely more of a bosser than a farmer, but she can be used to farm if you're trying to like level her up or whatever. I'd recommend just throwing on the thunder cage, spam her 3 ability, and you can just clear the dungeon that way. Let's go ahead and take a look at the piercing light build though. So this is what I'm going to be rocking. We got the better insight and better concentration, and this is going to be for the critical hit rate, critical hit damage, as well as another crit mod for that critical damage. And then you have 2 of the mag size mods, and the reason for that is because the bigger your mag size, the more shots Hailey gets. So that is why we have these 2 right here. And then of course action and reaction, rifling reinforcement to give us some extra attack. And then I fully catalyst mine, so I threw on focus fire here to give me some extra weak point and crit damage. I believe the original, this doesn't come, you'd have to catalyst over this. The original one I think comes with, yeah, an R slot. So it's up to you. If you just want to like min-max, you can throw on focus fire. And then we got the weak point set up right here, right? The weak point expansion and then the weak point sight. So this is going to make her hit like a truck, and you're just absolutely going to want to use this gun on her. It's going to get a lot of value, and you're going to be able to just like 2 to 3 shot bosses. It's insane. All right, next up we are going to be moving on to the reactor. So ideally you want to just have a reactor with whatever weapon you're using, whether it be like piercing light, afterglow shard, what have you. And you're going to be wanting specifically, if you're using it for bossing, you're going to want additional skill attack to Colossus, obviously, and then the other slot kind of changes depending on what you're going for, right? So something like chill boost and or singular boost would be really good, so it kind of like buffs up your damage ability attacks. I farmed this reactor for a long time. I was not able to get it. I kind of just settled with this one. So since mine rolled skill critical hit rate, we don't really need it, because if I take this off, let's just throw on whatever and then pop my V ability, as my stacks are going up, we're gonna get max 100% anyways, right? The thing that you could do here is slot out skill insight for a different mod if you have crit rate on your reactor. Because see, if I take this off and then I throw my reactor back on, let's pop our V ability. We're pretty much reaching that max skill critical hit rate chance, right? Like you're pretty much there. If it was a gold critical hit chance, this would max it out. Mine's purple, so I'm not quite at 100%, but it's pretty much 100%, right? So what you could do instead of running skill insight here is you could throw on something like shot focus to give you a little bit more damage. However, I do not have that mod, but you could kind of like flex this slot for something else, maybe be a little bit more like survivability or what have you. It kind of just depends. But if you want to keep it simple and you just want to throw on like skill insight, that way it opens up your reactor options a little bit, you can absolutely do that. It kind of just depends what you're going for, depending on what you roll on your reactor. So this is why I always say that builds can change based on what reactor you're using, because it really can. Because right now with my reactor plus skill insight, we're like losing value, right? Like I am losing this entire stat because it's just not needed. Ideally, I would want to have, as I said, like a chill bonus here or a singular bonus. I still need to go get it. I still need to do that, but yeah, I mean, it kind of depends. Like your build is always going to be changing depending on what reactor and external components you're using. So just keep that in mind that these things do matter. And if I was trying to min-max, I definitely would not want to have skill insight here. But generally, a lot of people aren't going to have crit chance on their reactor. So this is kind of just like for everybody. And then you could just open this up and go for, you know, whatever. So yeah, you're looking for chill, singular, and or if you're farming, you could do skill crit damage or range or what have you. But regardless, just always keep that in mind that usually when somebody says there's one specific way to build, that is because they have like the perfect reactor and that is what they're using in their build. It can change. So I do want you guys to keep that in mind. And then for the build, this is what I'm going to be rocking. So basically the idea behind it is you want to just throw on as much skill power as possible because skill power modifier is not going to be any good here. Basically the rule of thumb is if the Descendant is geared towards, if their abilities have like insanely high skill power, you don't want to throw on modifier because you're not getting as much value, whereas just raw skill power like chill specialist is giving us skill power, spear and shield is giving us skill power, you're going to be getting a lot more value off of that. So you are definitely going to be wanting to stack that. Skill power modifier is not going to do much for you at all. Hailey's very simple to build. Basically, anytime you have a spellcaster, you're going to be throwing the same like 6 mods on them, like spell crit damage, spell crit rate, and then the blue mods, of course. So yeah, she's not really like much different than other spellcasters as far as the build goes. Very simple, but I'll kind of break it down. We'll do chill specialist just for this chill skill power, increased HP to give us some survivability. This goes on every spellcaster ever. The skill concentration, skill insight. Dangerous ambush is just going to give you that extra skill power when you're attacking an immobilized enemy and or the enemy is not targeting you. You can kind of throw whatever you want in here. I prefer midair maneuvering. And then again, we're just trying to stack as much crit rate and crit damage as possible, so that's why these mods are here. This is just going to give us a little bit of extra chill skill power. So as I said earlier, you just want to stack the most skill power you can do so your abilities just nuke. This one's kind of a flex slot. You can throw MP conversion in here for the sake of that this is what came with it, because if we look at the other Malachite options, you don't really have a lot of options. If you want to, you could also throw on like maximize conservation, and that's gonna like not make your mana tick down so fast. It's kind of preference what you want. Overall, skill cooldown is going to be really good. If you're not able to burst it down in one rotation, you'll be able to get your skills back faster and be able to keep firing. But if you're like one-shotting a boss, like hard pyromaniac or something, it doesn't really matter, you know? So, and then spear and shield for the skill power and the defense, as I said earlier. So that is going to be the Hailey build, and she is going to be boss mommy because she is absolutely broken. She just absolutely shreds all the bosses. Like, it's insane the damage she does. Now, I did want to talk about her external components. So this is kind of going to be up to personal preference. So for her external components, we are going to be using the Slayer set, and the reason for this is because it gives us a little bit of mag size as well as it gives us 26 skill power, so that is going to up our damage. However, the bad thing about this set is that you're going to be really like squishy. Like, unfortunately, that's kind of the downside of this set, is 2 of these external components can only roll max shield as a primary stat, so you are not going to be able to go for those like double HP rolls or what have you. I still have a little bit, like right here, I have like defense on this one, but on these two, you're not going to be able to do it. See how I only have like 7.8k HP? That is extremely low. Granted, we do have a little bit of higher of a shield, but that HP is still very underwhelming if you're going to go try and fight those like later hard game bosses. Like you're going to get like 2-shot, right? Like, so while you do get a big increase in damage from having this on via the skill power, you might want to consider swapping it around if you are having trouble like downing those late game hard bosses, because 7.8k HP is just simply not enough. Like, so is it worth it for you to be doing that extra damage at the cost of just being very, very squishy? That's kind of the trade-off. So you can do this like in solo, this is no problem because you'll probably be like 2-shotting the bosses anyway. But for the later game bosses, it is definitely going to be much more difficult to survive, because like bare minimum, you want to have at least like 10k HP. I mean, that's still on the low side. Like for the later game bosses, you would preferably want to have more HP. So I'll leave it up to you guys. That is the downside of this Slayer set, is you're going to get that extra damage, but you're also going to be a lot squishier than if I were to just throw on like double max HP here, you know, and then like a double defense here. Like you're gonna be way squishier, so it's kind of up to you. I wouldn't recommend going in those super late game bosses. Like, sure, you're gonna hurt your damage a bit, but at the same time, at least you're not gonna get one tapped and then your team is just spending the whole game trying to like get you up, right? So I mean, I don't know though, maybe if you want to try it out, maybe see how you do. Maybe you're just like a beast and you just never get hit or whatnot. I don't know, it's up to you, but I'm just giving you the information. But yeah, that's kind of like the downside of the Slayer set. It's just you trade a lot of survivability for a little bit of damage, and you know, it might be worth it for you, it might not, I don't know, it's up to you. But that's basically the rundown of your options. Now, if you did just want to go farm on Hailey, you would not want to have obviously additional skill attack to Colossus. You would probably want something like skill cooldown, skill crit damage. Even I mean, I'm sure range would even be good. I mean, I don't think any of them are bad options. So it's kind of up to you if you want to flex your reactor depending on like what situation you have going on. But yeah, I mean, it's completely up to you. Now, one of the main kind of downsides of Hailey being so good is if I hold down my 3 ability, that's gonna keep increasing my crit rate. And then see how we have 100% crit rate at max stats. So the downside of this is you're gonna move really, really slow. Like that's with my sprint on. So that is kind of the downside of this character, especially if I'm like going into my ultimate, I can't move, right? Like you're gonna be stuck there. So you gotta keep this in mind for when you're bossing, because if you post up in the wrong spot and then the boss aggroes you, you were just like totally screwed, right? You're just gonna get absolutely shredded, especially if you're running the Slayer set. So do keep that in mind. All of her abilities are like kind of like gated, like they make you just stay still. So like, let's say you were fighting a boss and then you wanted to pop your Q because the Q gives you some extra damage, and then pop your C. I can't move during this. So you're just stuck there in the animation, so that you do want to be careful when deciding when to use your abilities, because that is going to be like super important. Positioning is going to be everything with this character, and if you are just running in the middle of the map trying to just like snipe them like right close up and personal, you are going to get absolutely punished for it. So just make sure you are from like long range, maybe behind like a little bit of cover. That would be the smartest idea. And then if I look at her passive here, you do want to not be close up to them. She is a long range character. So if I look at this, it's proportional to the distance between the target and Hailey. The weak point damage decreases the closer it is. So you're going to lose some of that weak point. So if we look here, the maximum we can get is going to be 50%, and the max distance is going to be 25 meters. So you do want to be far away. Like when you're shooting your ultimate, you do want to be far away. Now, regarding her one ability, her cryo round, so this is going to increase your damage output when you hit a enemy with it. So ideally you would want to do your 1 ability into your 3 into your 4 if you're trying to do like as max damage as possible, but if it's something like Hard Pyromaniac or something, you're downing that boss in 3 seconds anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. But the range on this is like pretty long, so you would want to like toss out your Q. See how he has 9 stacks? So right over here, you're gonna do more damage to him if you shoot him. So your combo is going to look something like this. So you would, depending on if you need to use your 2 or not, but it would be pop your 3, wait for your, see on the left side, you wanna wait for your stacks to be at 16, so you have 100% crit rate. You would pop your ultimate, toss out your Q, and then watch what happens when I shoot. I lose stacks, right, as I'm shooting him, so it's at 8 stacks, 7, 6, 5. So you guys get the point. That's basically how you would do like the maximum amount of damage. You would have to be far away, have your stacks up, and then have your 3 ability stacks up as well as your 1 ability, and then you would fire your shots. If you are killing the boss in like 2 seconds anyways, it doesn't really matter, but if, you know, for those harder bosses in the late game, you would want to be doing like optimal rotations to maximize your DPS. So just keep that in mind. You want to prioritize like 1, 3, 4, and then you can like 2 if you have the leftover mana or whatever. It's kind of up to you how you want to do the combo, but the most damage would be 1, 3, 4. So just keep that in mind. Now, you don't have to go full ulti build if you don't want to. Hailey does beat out pretty much any other like gun booster descendant in the game with her 3 ability. So if you didn't like the like sniper rifle setup, you could literally just come here, throw on your Enduring Legacy if you have one, and then you would just max your stacks. So once you get to 16 stacks, she's just gonna boost your, like, it's crazy how much she boosts your damage. So she's just gonna be a really good descendant to just like overall do really good on bosses. Like if you can see here, like 16 stacks with like mental focus and or SPS is just gonna be like extremely good. You're gonna dish out a lot of damage. So she is, in my opinion, she is the best descendant in the game, like, which is crazy because she's a base descendant. So I am very curious once we get her transcendent mods what she's gonna look like, because as of right now she is like so powerful. I can't even imagine throwing on something else that is even going to boost her further, but we'll have to wait and see what that looks like. Overall though, guys, I think she is definitely worth investing into. I maxed my piercing light as well as her as soon as I could, and it is definitely like 100% worth it. I'll go ahead and show you guys a couple bosses real quick just to see the damage output, and let me go ahead and go upgrade this reactor real quick, and then I'll go just to get a little bit more damage, but I'll go ahead and upgrade this and then we'll go fight a couple bosses. All right, so we'll do Executioner first, and then we'll do Pyromaniac, just to kind of show off her DPS potential. All right, and then we're just gonna pop our 3 and 4 ability. And that's Executioner, which has normal resistance to chill. So as you guys can see, she is absolutely broken. Let's do Dead Bride just for fun, since she's very strong to chill, because I don't want to just show like, you know, 2 bosses that are like easily downed. Let's see Dead Bride. All right, and then let's see. So there we go, and then boom. That's a boss that is very strong against cold, by the way. So I mean, you know, did I mention she is broken? All right, we did Executioner and Dead Bride. We already can down Devour and Pyromaniac in like 2 hits, so I don't want to show that one. Let's try a little bit of a harder boss here. Molten Fortress is really weak to chill. Let's try Obstructer. Let's see how fast we can kill this guy. So we're gonna press R3, stack up our stacks, then we're gonna do the 1 ability, and we'll just light them up. As you can see, the damage is huge. like 8 million right there. That's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Kind of depends on what group you had. If you had like a Glay or Enzo or another Hailey, he for sure dies there. But you guys see the damage potential. It's pretty insane. There we go. So yeah, you guys kind of get it. She is just extremely broken. She's absolutely busted. So yeah, you're gonna nuke all these later game bosses as well, and it only gets better if you have like imagine you have like two Haileys, two Enzos, or something like that, or like a character buffing you. Like if you had a really good team comp, you could like kill these end game bosses in like 10 seconds or something. It's kind of crazy. Anyways, that's gonna be it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you are free to play and or you just don't buy your Descendants, you probably should be unlocking Hailey pretty soon via the invasion dungeon. So I just wanted to showcase her a little bit. That way you guys know that you need to be investing into this character if you are trying to progress those hard bosses. She is absolutely goated. Best character in the game for bossing by far. I highly recommend once you get her to build up your piercing light and max out her Descendant mods, and she is just going to be an absolute powerhouse. Thanks for watching though, guys. I am Samux Plays. If you enjoyed the video, please consider dropping a sub. I appreciate you all greatly. Thank you so much for all the support, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace.